Drum roll, please. The thing that all one of you have been waiting for. We're going to put frets on today. Going to actually start looking like a neck, feeling like a neck. It's going to be awesome. Stick around. Okay, here we are. That's what we got. Kind of where we left off. Still haven't finished sanded the back side here. I kind of leave things a little bit rough yet. What you're going to find is once you get your frets in, you're going to want to come in and sand the sides, and you're going to need to bevel the edges of the frets. You're going to need a lot of work to do a lot of work with those. So I just kind of leave it rough, because when I'm sanding the back, then that allows me to kind of come back and blend everything together. Seems to work pretty good. This is a really good opportunity to look at the top of your fretboard, make sure you're happy with how it works, or how it looks rather. Make sure your finish is fine enough. Hey buddy, what's up? Make sure your finish is fine enough for what you're trying to do. Because once you get the frets on, for obvious reasons, it becomes pretty difficult to sand. Apparently there's a piece of tape stuck to the... Huh? Yeah. Apparently there's a piece of tape stuck to the bottom of my stand that needs someone's attention. No. Let me get that off. Okay, well... Really, man? So I removed the tape. Apparently that's not good enough. Can you please? He's pretty bored at this point. He's been inside for a couple days. It's been really cold here. He'll go out for about 3 minutes and then he'll want right back in. And right now he's contemplating his next move, which probably won't be good for cinematography here. But we'll see. Anyway, we're cleaning this stuff out. Got most of the glue out, just a little bit left way down in there. And you know, all these sort of steps, you really take your time. Don't rush it. Got a lot of time and effort invested in it at this point. And hey, maybe we need the cat cam. This is our problem. This is the whole problem we have, isn't it? Huh? Okay, so keep cleaning this stuff. You know, we got the glue out. Hit it with some sandpaper just to make sure. Even if I did anything, even with my little depth gauge there, I noticed it kind of left a little bit of residue. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I have something on it, but cleaned that all up with some more sandpaper, making sure everything's good and clean. Okay. There we go. Nice and cleaned out. And I'll show you how we're going to do some frets here. Stand by for shocking developments. I've made a tool for radiusing my frets. I know. Amazing, isn't it? Surprising. Anywho, this is what it looks like. And if it looks like something a guy made with a hole saw out of a couple pieces of wood and a piece of cutting board, that's what it is. Kind of reminds me of Tinker Toys I had as a kid. It's the shape of it, I guess. But anyway, so I've got a I guess I don't know what you'd call it. It's a channel. You can kind of see it there. I've shaped into the edge of this, and really all I did there is after I drilled these out and put them, I chucked them up in my drill and got them spinning, and then I took a piece of fret wire and just kind of used that to shape it so it kind of matches the crown of the fret. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's the crown side, and there's going to be two of those. Both of these are identical. Then this one here, again, I chucked it up in my drill and got it spinning, and I used the tang side, the part that embeds down into the neck, and cut a groove in it. You can kind of see that, I hope. So what we're going to do with this guy's help, hopefully, or not, is you take your fret wire, and I typically put just a little bit of a bend on the end because that just makes it start a little bit easier. And I'll show you here in a second once I get it in there. And you're going to start it like that. Kind of see how I've fed it down through, and it's already starting to put a little bit of a bend on it. Then you just start turning. What you get is a nice radius pre-bent piece of fret wire, and what that allows you to do is it allows the ends are typically the ends are typically the part that's going to give you problems. They're going to want to pop up, they're going to want to look funny. So I like to over crown it just a little bit and then drive it down in the middle. So that ensures that your ends stay stuck. So we're going to take our piece of pre-bent fret wire, and the result of the bender that I showed you is the first inch or so is typically pretty straight, and then it starts to really form the radius in it. So I just cut that off most times. Usually it's never enough to actually use for a fret later, but I seem to keep them. You don't want to lay it in there. You're going to want to cut it to size. Typically I cut them just a little bit oversized because you're going to sand that off anyway, file it off. And then I'll just kind of get it started, because you don't want to start hammering it in and it's not in the groove. This little brass hammer, I don't typically use this. I thought I'd try it. Okay, so I've got it started. Not a million ways to seat your frets. There's custom clamps. I've seen like a vice grip thing that's got a head on it that fits your neck, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. I don't have one. My method, surprise surprise, involves a hammer and a piece of wood. I've always used it and it's always worked for me. Basically I've cut a bunch of little blocks of wood like this. I worked my way through a Jenga set, and that actually worked really well, but I'm out of those. And essentially you're just going to take this and you're going to hammer it, you're going to put it against the fret, and you're going to hammer your fret down. I'll show you here in a second. Beveling the ends of frets. More homemade tools. Block of wood. Got a little bit of a radius sanded into it here. Glued a piece of plastic to it. And I've got a file. Basically I ran it through my table saw, put a 40-degree cut through this thing, glued a file in. So you can see that. I'm sure you can buy this somewhere. Obviously I made it. What you're trying to get rid of is all these long fret ends here. There's cutters that will give you a better, flatter cut that allow you to get closer. I've kind of experimented with them. I haven't bought one. I actually made this, you know. Not only good for extracting teeth, you know, I've got it plain flat, so it'll cut really close to the fretboard. Didn't really seem to gain me a lot. Your results may vary. Feel free to try it. This seems to do just as well for me, and it's probably what you have in your toolbox. So this thing really doesn't take too long. The trick is you can't just start going to town because they're different heights, and pretty soon you're going to catch on one. You'll peel it out. It really doesn't take long to sand them down with this file. But the trick is, the first few times you go through it, you really got to kind of use a little finesse on the long ones until you kind of get them all down to the same height. And then you can really just go to town. Once you get the burrs off them, you just start easing your way through them. Okay, we've pretty much finished filing down those ends of those frets. Hopefully you can take a look at that. Nice and smooth. This is where we started. Okay. You can see how these are all kind of uneven and everything else. They aren't flush with the edge of the neck. They're sharp. I mean, you couldn't play that. After a little bit of sanding, using that tool, this is where we're at. Nice and smooth, nice and blended in. It'll only get better as you finish sand this neck. You know, you just go right over that stuff and it'll all blend in a little better. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. Might be a little bit shorter video, but a lot of stuff going on. It's the holidays and whatnot. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something. We're going to come back next time and we'll get these things dressed up and looking really good, and probably do some finish sanding on this neck. So see you around. Bye.